As we frequently pointed out, informed sources say that China wants desperately to be the world's sole superpower. Isn't that what the Bible defines as covetousness? Isn't greed also one of the 7 deadly sins? But what else can we expect from atheists? Anyway, they also want the yuan to displace the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. How then should they proceed? First, get Trump out of the White House and prevent him from running again. Because of his America First patriotic policy, which interdicts China's imbalanced trade with the US. Since China is a communist country, they must get God out of America or marginalize him as much as possible, because Marxist communism and Christianity mix about as well as gasoline and forest fires. Then they have to crush our economy to mitigate our influence in the world and our ability to respond to Chinese challenges. The latest tactic the socialists are using is to indict Donald Trump on fake charges to make their swan song an attempt to jail him to keep him out of the running for 2024. Or to convince voters that he is the criminal, not Biden, and thus tell Americans don't vote for him. Jailing political opponents is something that should never happen in this country. It happens in Vladimir Putin's Russia, where he has jailed opposition leaders like Alexei Navalny, who Putin has not only jailed, but tortured as a warning to anybody else who might threaten Putin's authority and autonomy. Let's shift gears. Different gear, but same transmission, and revisit a previous issue. According to former Associate Justice Hugo Black, who served on the Supreme Court from 1937 to 1971, referencing a case before the court, the First Amendment to the Constitution created a wall of separation between church and state. However, the First Amendment does not contain either the word wall or the word separation, and where it mentions religion, it's only saying the government can neither establish a religion nor interfere with the free practice thereof. So, it would seem that this declaration about separating church and state was merely his gut feeling about it. But remember what we said about Joseph Goebbels' claim on telling a lie big enough and repeating it long enough. The clear and obvious intent of the First Amendment was to prevent the government from establishing an official state religion, as did Henry VIII of England, and forcing everybody to join. It was not intended to establish a legal wall to punish those who are religious and don't mind saying so. The Founding Fathers had just defeated the tyrannical government of the English monarchy in a war to gain independence from royal law and rule. So the First Amendment to our Constitution was a course correction they thought necessary to put power into the hands of the governed, so nobody gets burned at the stake for being a Baptist instead of an Anglican. Without exception, the founding generation was replete with religious people, and this country is still replete with people of faith who want to protect the legal code which guarantees their right to worship God the way their forefathers did. The Supreme Court was originally created to settle disputes between states, but it has instead become an unofficial lawmaking body of government. The court issues opinions as it interprets the Constitution, and those opinions carry the weight of law in the absence of actual legislation. This is why the Democrats sought to codify an actual law that homosexuals could marry, because religious conservatives could have done the same thing and made it illegal by law instead of a SCOTUS decision. But did the court lose its way in the 2020 election? Disputes between states should have included a suit brought by Texas against 4 other states to argue that their practices in the 2020 election had harmed the plaintiffs' voters. But the High Court refused to take the case for reasons that were not adequately revealed, and it may not really have been an issue of standing as they claimed. Politics and religion are 2 subjects that may elicit more passion among people than other paired subjects. But it is necessary that we examine the relationship between the 2. Politics and religion are inextricably connected, and it has been that way as far back as the book of Romans, which was written by the Apostle Paul around 1957 AD. Disastrous events, depressing news, and stories of human suffering pour out of the Middle East these days like water through a 4-inch fire hose. Armageddon and doomsday prophecies abound in everything from the supermarket yellow press to the clerics of organized religion talking about the end times, and YouTube has countless predictions on the subject. End times prophecies are fairly well recorded in the Bible, and it's hard to sort out whether or not current political events are a bellwether warning us that the end is near. It's hard to discern because Christians have been expecting Jesus to return since the first century. So it's been a long wait. Have the prophets been crying wolf? Or is God simply very, very patient? It has to be the latter. But I can understand how he could be so patient considering the condition of the world and its current trajectory of sexualizing children, rampant infanticide, gay marriage, progress of godless socialism, gender confusion, rampant crime, and the general crumbling of civilized society. To wit, governments have made a mockery of God's design for human sexuality by legalizing same-sex unions, i.e., gay marriage, which contributes nothing to the good of the country or the good of society, but it's now legal in 29 countries. When the Supreme Court legalized gay marriage in America, Barack Obama drenched the White House with the colored lights of the rainbow, which was a symbolic smack in the face to God and his Christian followers. The movement called the quest for gay marriage by the term marriage equality. But a marital union between two men or two women will never enjoy true equality, since the God who invented marriage defined same-sex unions as a sin, and the practitioners thereof will not enter his heavenly kingdom. Abortion used to be illegal, or at least was highly regulated, but is now allowed in virtually all countries in the world, despite the Bible's claim that God knits babies together in the womb. Since 1973, America has instituted a practice that allows destruction of infants to take place on an industrial scale, expanding it not only up to the moment of birth, but even after the baby is born. The United Kingdom legalized abortion in 1968, Canada in 1988, and Australia in 2017. God's commandment of "thou shalt not kill" has become a casualty of the profit motive, coupled with the political correctness of a woman's right to decide about her own reproductive rights. Chief among these rights is Planned Parenthood's business model of abortion on demand. More on this below. The rainbows we see now no longer remind us of God's promise that never again will the waters become a flood to destroy all life. Too many folks now conflate it with the LGBT movement that seems to be on a continuous loop in the visual media. This group has commandeered the rainbow to their cause, instead of looking with wonder at the colorful bow God set in the sky after Noah's flood, and appreciate not only the promise he made, but also the prismatic effect that produces all the colors thereof. We often look at it with disdain for the symbolic representation of diversity in the gay community since 1978. The Pope's exorcist, Gabriel Amorth, says Satan resides in the Vatican, the center of the church that was established by Jesus Christ through his apostle, Peter. Further, a nun says fully half of priests and bishops of the Catholic Church are gay. And what of Jesus' claim concerning wars and rumors of wars? And arguably, there has already been a deluge of such things, even if we only look at the 20th century as a standalone. Hence, we can conclude that Satan has been a busy boy. Let's look a bit further at the politics and religion paradigm. Although America was originally established by God-fearing Christians seeking freedom of worship and greater autonomy over their lives, our current political landscape has for several years become an increasingly troubling dumpster fire, since much of the communist plan to turn America into a secular socialist nation has been nor is being accomplished. For example, the communist plan included a strategy to capture one or both political parties,